Thanks, John. Now, the White House has said it's deeply disappointed and concerned at today's conviction of a Russian opposition leader, calling it the latest example of a disturbing trend aimed at suppressing dissent. Alexei Navalny's had to abandon plans to stand for election as mayor of Moscow after he was handed a 5-year jail sentence. Our foreign affairs correspondent Jonathan Rugman has the story.
12 hours by train northeast of Moscow, Alexei Navalny and his wife Yulia are on their way to face a rough kind of justice. It was here in the small town of Kirov that Russia's most outspoken campaigner against corruption was himself accused of embezzling almost $500,000. The case had already been thrown out once, but last year prosecutors targeted Navalny again in what the American ambassador today called an apparently politically motivated trial, though the judge denied that.
Navalny's arguments about political motives behind his criminal prosecution are not substantiated in any way.
The court stood for 3.5 hours as the verdict was read out. The judge had ordered phones to be switched off, but nobody took much notice, least of all Navalny himself, who posted around 40 tweets of defiance, even after the sentence. "OK, don't miss me," he said on Twitter. "The most important thing is not to sit idle. A toad won't lift itself off the oil pipe." And this was his last message, a picture addressed to Vladimir Putin himself. "May God have mercy on you," it said, calling for further protests. The sentence was 5 years in jail for stealing from a state-controlled timber company. Navalny handed his wife his phone and his watch, and he was led away in handcuffs. His lawyer had not been allowed to cross-examine the main prosecution witness, nor call 13 witnesses in defence. And even those who expected rough justice were reduced to tears.
As much as it was possible to be ready for this, Alexei was ready. I and all his family support him, and we will in future. If anybody hopes Alexei's investigation will stop, well, this isn't true.
It was in 2011, amid the first large anti-Putin protests, that Alexei Navalny shot to prominence as Russia's unofficial opposition leader. He wasn't an oligarch or even a politician, but the lawyer had coined the phrase the party of swindlers and thieves to describe the Putin regime, and he used social media to galvanize protest. In the past, Navalny's extremist views have alienated Russian liberals. In this video, he compared Muslim rebels in the Caucasus with cockroaches, suggesting the rebels should not be swatted away, but shot. Last year, Vladimir Putin was seen in tears after winning a third presidential term. And though the president is still popular, even some allies admit that Putin's Kremlin was probably instrumental in today's verdict. Freedom for Alexei Navalny, they chanted outside the courthouse. Putin is a thief. Only last week, Navalny had registered to run for Moscow mayor in September. But a convicted criminal in a police van cannot stand for public office. This evening, a few thousand gathered near the Kremlin walls in support of Navalny, now a political martyr to the opposition cause. Several were bundled away in police vans. Meanwhile, Mikhail Gorbachev, the architect of perestroika, said the case was proof of a lack of judicial independence and that using the courts against political opponents was unacceptable.
Jonathan Rugman.